What if the world you've been taught to believe in, its history, its boundaries, its very nature, was nothing more than a shadow of a deeper truth? What if buried beneath the sands of time, hidden behind myths and half-remembered stories, lies a force so profound that it could unravel the illusion of mortality and awaken the true essence of consciousness itself? There is a name whispered through the corridors of forgotten temples and etched in symbols that defy time. Thoth. To the ancient Egyptians, he was more than a god. He was a memory itself, the keeper of the sacred order, the mind behind the mystery. Thoth was no ordinary deity. He was a presence that existed beyond time, beyond space, beyond death. He was the architect of cosmic law, the guardian of universal balance, and the scribe of creation. His wisdom, it is said, was so immense that to truly understand it would dissolve the illusion of the material world and reveal the infinite beneath. But humanity was never meant to wield such power freely. His most sacred knowledge, the secrets of ascension, the blueprints of reality, the laws that govern both the seen and the unseen, was hidden behind allegory, shrouded in riddles, suppressed by those who feared what would happen if we remembered who we truly are. So who benefits from our ignorance, and what changes when we begin to remember? To rediscover Thoth is not merely to revisit a myth, but to return to a forgotten origin, a time when gods walked among mortals and knowledge was a living force. Thoth was not a tale created to explain the stars. He was the one who measured them. The ancient name Jehudi meant the divine scribe, and in this role, Thoth inscribed the blueprint of existence itself, the balance of opposites, the rhythm of time, and the destiny of souls. He recorded the deeds of gods and men alike, not to judge, but to preserve the harmony of all things. He was the master of sacred language, the father of magic, the keeper of that which should never be forgotten. And yet, most have forgotten. Yet Thoth's presence never vanished. He has appeared in many forms across the ages, in the teachings of Hermeticism, in the whispers of the mystery schools, in the symbols embedded within alchemy and esoteric thought, always guiding, always watching, always waiting for us to remember. Unlike other deities confined to their cultural myths, Thoth is eternal. The ancients believed that he was present at the dawn of creation, that he watched as the universe was born from silence into sound. Without him, they said, the world would collapse into chaos. For he was not just a god of knowledge, he was the intelligence that holds the universe together. He is the cosmic librarian, the silent observer, the balance within duality. And while others ruled with thunder or fire, Thoth ruled with thought, with the quiet power of knowing. His wisdom was not theoretical, it was transformative. It had the power to reshape reality, to lift the veil, to awaken the divine within us. He was often depicted with the head of an ibis, the bird of perception and intuition, symbolizing not just intellect, but the bridge between the human and the divine. A being of symmetry and secrets, Thoth was the voice of the unseen, the mind of the cosmos, and perhaps the most enduring mystery of all. Now, in a world crying out for truth, his name returns, rising from the silence. Are you ready to listen? Known for its acute sense of observation, the ibis was a symbol of clarity, precision, and the quest of truth that were concealed from everyone else. In some portrayals, he was depicted as a baboon, which is another sacred species that is related with esoteric insight, lunar cycles, and wisdom. However, despite the fact that his figure became identifiable in Egyptian art, his presence was not limited to hieroglyphs and statues. Some people were not meant to have access to Thoth's wisdom. The ancient people at the time believed that his teachings were so potent that they needed to be kept in such a way that only those who were genuinely prepared could gain access to them. According to legend, he was the one who wrote the most profound mysteries of existence into sacred writings, which were volumes so powerful that reading them bestowed upon the reader either unfathomable enlightenment or, if they were not worthy, total insanity. It was believed that these writings, which were referred to as the Books of Thoth, contained the very fabric of reality as well as the mysteries of life, death, and the ways to ascend. For the sake of preventing their misuse, they were concealed from the public eye, buried, or locked away. Nevertheless, despite the passage of ages and the rise and fall of civilizations, Thoth's wisdom has never been taken away. It was only those who were initiated into the secret schools of Egypt that were taught portions of his wisdom. His impact spread throughout Egypt. The presence of this individual was documented in Greek legends, where he was merged with Hermes, resulting in the creation of the figure known as Hermes Trismegistus, also known as Thrice Great Hermes, who is believed to have been the author of the Hermetic corpus. Hermes and Thoth are connected in a way that cannot be considered a coincidence. Both were considered to be divine messengers, entities who move between the physical and spiritual realms, delivering universal truths to those who were willing to listen to them. The Kybalion, a text that was influenced by Hermetic philosophy, has echoes of Thoth's principles, which reinforces the concept that the universe functions according to laws that are unchangeable and concealed. What if, however, the more profound truths, the ones that have not been written down and the ones that are too powerful for the general public, are still out there? What if the true secrets of Thoth are not able to be revealed in their entirety in public areas, and only those individuals who seek them out in the appropriate locations will be able to discover them? A certain amount of information is either too profound or too hazardous to be freely shared. This is the reason why we decided to establish Insights Academy, a place where we delve even further into these riddles than what can be covered in this article. For a limited time, sign up today by clicking on the link in the description, and you will be able to obtain a free copy of the Kybalion, a document that many people believe contains the key to understanding the ancient wisdom of Thoth. Even though he was a scribe, a historian, and an old god, Thoth was more than that. He was a power that existed outside of the confines of time. Although he may have changed his identity, the message that he sent has not changed. In spite of the fact that knowledge is power, not all information is intended to be freely shared. His teachings, which are encoded in ancient books and hidden traditions, indicate a more profound reality, one in which consciousness is not merely awareness, but rather an active force that transforms the world that we live in. When it came to the intellect, the universe, and the nature of existence, what did Thoth genuinely comprehend? And what is it about people who seek his advice that they always end up discovering more than they bargained for themselves? In order to get answers to these problems, we need to investigate the most enigmatic of all mysteries, which are the fabled Emerald Tablets. They are believed by some to be a myth, while others believe that they hold the secrets to ascension itself. Whatever the case may be, the information that is inscribed on them has the potential to destroy everything that you believed you knew. The Emerald Tablets is a name that evokes feelings of power, mystery, and something that does not belong to the public domain. Imagine for a moment that I were to tell you that these tablets contain information that has the potential to change the very fabric of reality. That concealed inside their words is not just a course of action leading to enlightenment, but also to something much more significant. In addition to the structure of life itself, the nature of consciousness, and the secret to immortality are all secrets. These are not your typical texts, the Emerald Tablets are. It is believed that these are the precise writings of Thoth, which were penned thousands of years ago, a significant amount of time before written history. But in contrast to other old manuscripts, it is claimed that they are indestructible, that they are not affected by the passage of time, that they are not deteriorating, and that they have survived the years as if they were never intended to be lost. According to legends, Thoth, who possessed knowledge that was beyond the comprehension of humans, etched the tablets in a material that was unknown to humans. This material was something that was beyond metal and stone, something that was indestructible and immortal. The inscriptions in question are supposed to have been crafted with the intention of preserving the ultimate truths, the kind of facts that have the potential to solve the mysteries of life, death, and ascension itself. Despite the fact that they were extremely powerful, they were never intended for use by anyone. The great custodian of wisdom, Thoth, was aware of the fact that knowledge, when inappropriately utilized, does not lead to enlightenment, but rather to ruin. This is the reason why the tablets were concealed, hidden away in clandestine locations, buried beneath the sands of time, and waiting for those who are deserving to unearth them. On the other hand, what exactly do these ancient inscriptions communicate? The contents of these books talk of the laws of the cosmos, the unseen forces that govern everything, and the ability that lies within the mind to mold and maintain control over reality itself. The rules that they explain are resonant with Hermeticism, alchemy, and even the discoveries of modern quantum physics. They describe the underlying principles that govern the universe. In addition to these concepts, there is the well-known proverb that states, "As above, so below, as within, so without." It is a straightforward assertion, but it encompasses the entirety of the structure of existence. It reveals to us that the macrocosm and the microcosm are reflections of one another, and that the cosmos is not distinct from us, but rather provides a reflection of the exact concepts that we have within ourselves. The tablets go much farther, revealing that time itself is an illusion, that the past, the present, and the future all exist concurrently, and that those who are able to grasp the hidden rules are able to step outside the boundaries of time itself. They talk of the voyage of the soul, the movement of consciousness beyond death, and the metamorphosis from a mortal creature to something more, a higher condition of existence that extends beyond the physical realm. Some people are of the opinion that the information contained within the tablets is the basis for all mystical teachings, ranging from the pyramids of Egypt to the alchemical traditions of the Middle Ages, and even the study of energy, vibration, and frequency in the contemporary day. The possibility exists that Thoth left behind not only knowledge, but also a blueprint for the evolution of humans themselves. However, despite the fact that they carry a great deal of power, the tablets are not acknowledged in mainstream history. As myths, legends, and symbolic texts with no real relevance, they are disregarded as meaningless and unimportant. But why is that? Who stands to benefit from the concealment of this information? Throughout the course of human history, persons in positions of authority have always had a healthy respect for those who thought independently. If the Emerald Tablets were to be comprehended in their entirety, they would dispel the notion that we are limited beings and that we are constrained by the limitations of this planet. What they tell us is that we are far more than what we have been trained to believe we are about ourselves. However, this is where the mystery becomes even more perplexing. There are other perspectives that assert that the Emerald Tablets were never lost in any way. The fact that powerful elites, secret societies, and mystery schools have been guarding them for generations and exploiting their expertise in ways that the world was never intended to know about this information. Is it possible that the secrets of manifestation, energy management, and divine consciousness have been concealed in plain sight, camouflaged in shattered philosophies, and are waiting for individuals who are interested in discovering the truth to put them together? If this is the case, what will take place when the truth is ultimately brought to light? What is certain is one thing. The teachings that Thoth imparted cannot be said to have been forgotten. It was his responsibility to make certain that the knowledge contained in the tablets would be preserved, not only in a tangible form, but also in the very fabric of reality itself. Those who are interested in acquiring information, who are curious about the nature of existence, and who are willing to delve beyond the veil of illusion will discover that they are pulled to these facts on a consistent basis. However, the question that remains is whether or not you are prepared to look beyond the illusion. Because there is no going back once you have made the decision. Furthermore, if the Emerald Tablets are the ones that carry the keys to consciousness, then what does this imply about the person who created them? What was it that Thoth actually understood about the mind, about thought, and about the power that awareness possesses in and of itself? The answer to that question requires us to investigate the most significant revelation of all time, which is Thoth's control over awareness, as well as the manner in which his teachings indicate to a universe that is significantly more mysterious than we could possibly expect. In the event that the Emerald Tablets reveal the rules of the universe that have been concealed from view, then Thoth himself must have grasped something that is significantly more vast than what has been documented in history. The deity of writing and intelligence was not the only thing he was. As the creator of awareness itself, he was the architect. He was revered by the ancients for more than just his role as a writer. People had the impression that he was a master of reality, someone who had a firm grasp on the very fabric of existence and was able to shape it. However, what was it that Thoth genuinely comprehended? In what ways did he possess knowledge that has been dispersed, concealed, or disregarded throughout the course of several centuries? It's possible that the answer can be found in the very essence of consciousness herself. Numerous individuals, including mystics, philosophers, and scientists, have grappled with the task of defining consciousness over the course of human history. Do you know where it originated? Is it something that the brain produces? Another possibility is that it is something much broader, something that is not dependent on its physical form. Despite the fact that contemporary science makes an effort to reduce it to nothing more than neural activity, Thoth's teachings reveal something very different. He was aware of the fact that consciousness is not limited to the state of the mind. It is the core force that underlies the very nature of reality itself. Reality is not something that we merely witness without doing anything. Rather, it is something that we actively mold according to his wisdom. It is an artificial construct, a field of energy that can be shaped, and it reacts to the vibrations of mind and intent. Thoth posited that the universe was made up of various levels of existence in his description of the universe. Every one of them followed its own set of laws. All things are bound by an unseen thread, the quiet, formidable power of the mind. The teachings attributed to Thoth resonate with an eerie precision, echoing discoveries that modern physics is only now beginning to glimpse. At the heart of his wisdom lies a truth both unsettling and wondrous. Reality may not be fixed and cold, but instead a living, shifting field, like the quantum fabric of the cosmos itself, where consciousness touches matter and observation breathes form into the formless. If this is true, then our understanding of the universe is still a shadow of what it could be. We are not merely passengers in a predetermined reality. We are not only physical beings wandering through a dead cosmos. We are participants, architects, dreamers. Each thought we hold, each act of awareness, ripples through the structure of existence. We are co-authors of the story of reality itself. Among Thoth's many revelations, one of the most enigmatic is his perception of time, not as a straight line from past to future, but as a looping, layered force. A spiral, a veil that can be pierced. To him, time was elastic, malleable, and in some mysterious way, illusionary. If time is not what we believe it to be, then what does that mean for memory, for destiny, for the scaffolding of our lives? Within the Emerald Tablets, there is a cryptic mention of the halls of Amenti, a realm beyond time where past, present, and future coexist like overlapping waves. In this dimension, time collapses into stillness, and consciousness can navigate freely across its folds. This idea echoes the Akashic Records, an ethereal archive said to contain all that has ever happened, all that is happening, and all that will ever be. It is possible Thoth held access to this celestial database. Did he learn to step outside time altogether? Did he discover how to see the world from beyond the veil that separates the eternal from the fleeting? And yet, his insights go even deeper. He spoke of vibration, not merely as sound or energy, but as the very essence of being. Everything vibrates. Everything is alive. Everything carries a frequency, whether it is visible or invisible, solid or ethereal. The only difference between the physical and the non-physical is the speed at which something vibrates. Those who learn to attune their awareness to these higher frequencies can pierce the limitations of matter. They can perceive beyond the senses, reaching into worlds hidden from ordinary sight. This is why the ancients did not see Thoth merely as a god. They revered him as a traveler between realms, a being who straddled the threshold between what is seen and what is unseen. If consciousness is the key that shapes reality, why is this truth hidden from us? The answer is unsettling, yet strangely familiar. A population awakened to the immense power within their own minds cannot be controlled. They cannot be ruled through fear or confined to illusions. If you knew your thoughts shaped your life, if you understood that your mind was not bound by the limits you've been taught, would you passively accept the world as it is? Or would you begin to reshape it? This is the knowledge that has been obscured, diluted, buried beneath layers of dogma and distraction. Spiritual texts are altered, mystical insights are dismissed as fantasy, and those who seek deeper truths are often met with ridicule. But still, the light remains. Despite every attempt to suppress it, the wisdom of Thoth has never vanished. Like a flickering flame passed from hand to hand, it has survived, encoded in symbols, preserved by secret orders, whispered in the quiet moments between teacher and student. It waits patiently for those who are ready to listen. And there is more. Thoth's understanding of consciousness extended beyond vibration, beyond time, into the greatest mystery of all, death. He spoke of it not as an end, but as a door, a transformation, an illusion of separation. If consciousness is eternal, then what truly happens when we leave the body behind? Could it be that Thoth's knowledge reached even beyond the veil of mortality? That he discovered the art of traversing not only dimensions, but lifetimes? If death is not the final boundary, what does that mean for the rest of us? There are whispers, legends, wrapped in riddles, that Thoth never truly died, that he unlocked the highest secret, the ability to exist beyond form, to return again and again, cloaked in different names and faces. Throughout history, at the turning points of humanity, figures appear who seem to carry an ancient knowing, the sages, the prophets, the visionaries. Could they be echoes of the same presence, returning when the world needs him most? Since the dawn of recorded thought, esoteric traditions have hinted at this truth, that the soul of Thoth still walks among us. He is the eternal scribe, the architect of wisdom, the messenger of hidden things. And maybe, just maybe, he has never left. Thoth was portrayed as an immortal being in Egyptian mythology. He was said to have been present during the event that marked the beginning of creation and to continue to exist beyond the end of time itself. In contrast to the other gods, he did not inherit his divine status through familial ancestry or through worship, a power that erupted from outside the tangible world. He was the product of his own creation. It was said that he had documented all of the knowledge ever known, not only of the gods but also of the past, the present, and the future of humanity. And in the secret schools of Egypt, It was believed that he had perfected the capacity to leave his body at command, to travel between dimensions, and to return in successive incarnations, always bearing parts of his former learning. This was a belief that was held by the Egyptians. Hermes Trismegistus, the legendary sage of the Hermetic tradition, is one of the most well-known personas that is associated with Thoth. When the Greeks came into contact with Egyptian knowledge, they noticed that there were unmistakable parallels between Thoth and their own god, Hermes. Hermes was the messenger of the gods, the guide of souls, and the master of esoteric knowledge. However, in their perspective, Hermes Trismegistus was more than just a god himself, a guy. He was a figure of enlightenment who created complex philosophical and mystical books, such as the Hermetic Corpus, which established the groundwork for alchemy, astrology, and sacred geometry. He was a man. The Hermeticists believed that Hermes was a reincarnation of Thoth, carrying on his divine purpose now under a different name and in a different era. However, Hermes Trismegistus was just one among many others. The reincarnations of Thoth, according to certain accounts, stretch even further, manifesting themselves in various civilizations as influential thinkers, visionaries, and instructors. His presence can be traced back to the traditions of Enoch, the patriarch of the Bible who was claimed to have walked with God and risen to heaven without ever having to experience death. In fact, there are others who believe that he had an impact on the teachings of Pythagoras, whose mathematical revelations were a reflection of the sacred geometry that was discovered in Egyptian temples. Some people point to the ascended masters of ancient mystery schools, which are individuals who possess knowledge that was beyond their time and whose writings and teachings appear to bear echoes of Thoth's original wisdom. What if the most brilliant minds in history were not just impacted by the teachings of Thoth, but that Thoth himself was making repeated appearances to assist humanity? If this is indeed the case, then the repercussions are just astonishing. There is a possibility that certain souls, those who have attained a particular level of enlightenment, are able to travel across time. This is not in the sense that we understand reincarnation, in which prior lives are forgotten, but rather in a state of complete consciousness of their purpose, carrying forward the wisdom that they have received in previous incarnations. There are some ancient manuscripts that depict the process of ascension not as a spiritual metaphor, but rather as a real transformation. This would explain why these scriptures detail the process, one in which the physical body is discharged from the body, and the soul is allowed to move on without being bound by the cycle of birth and death. However, if Thoth has been reborn, and if he has made several appearances throughout the course of human history to provide guidance to people, then where is he at this moment? Since the beginning of the modern era, has he made another appearance, this time concealed behind a different persona, waiting for those who are prepared to recognize him? On the other hand, has his wisdom been dispersed, ready to be pieced together by those who are interested in discovering the truth? However, there is one thing that is certain: his influence never really vanished. His teachings have been preserved via esoteric traditions, which are a form of secret knowledge that has been handed down from generation to generation. And it's possible that those who are pulled to his secrets and those who empathize with his wisdom are closer to discovering the truth than they realize, mainly due to the fact that Thoth's most significant revelation contained not just information, but also information concerning what is beyond this world. If his teachings are accurate, then death itself is an illusion, and the journey of the soul is significantly more extensive than we have been encouraged to think it to be. On the other hand, what exactly did Thoth know about the afterlife, and how did he explain the process of transcendence? The following enigma that we need to solve is that one. In the event that Thoth was more than a deity, if he was a force that existed beyond time, and if he was a being who regenerated over the years, then his comprehension of death must have been totally different from what we have been taught. Ancient Egyptians did not consider death to be the conclusion of life. To them, it was a passageway, a doorway into another stage of life, a path through which the soul would either climb to greater knowledge or be stuck in the cycle of rebirth. In other words, it was a transition. And at the core of this comprehension was Thoth, the one who served as the guardian of wisdom, the shepherd of souls, and the one who was responsible for recording the fate of those who had passed away in the Book of Life. That being said, was this merely a myth? Would it be more accurate to say that Thoth left behind something much more significant, a secret truth regarding what happens after we depart this world? In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the journey that the soul takes after death is described, along with the test that it must go through in order to judge whether or not it is worthy of transcendence following death. The most well-known of these is the weighing of the heart, which takes place when the deceased person stands in front of Osiris with their heart placed on a scale against the feather of Maat, which is a symbol of divine truth and equilibrium. When the heart is filled with light, the soul is able to progress into higher realms. In the event that it is heavy and laden by sin, it will be devoured, and the soul will be forced to return to the physical world in order to try again. On the other hand, the fact that Thoth was the one who recorded these verdicts is something that is rarely discussed. He was not merely a bystander, rather, he was the one who etched the destiny of the soul and who had an understanding of the more profound mechanisms that underpin the functioning of existence beyond the levels of the physical plane. This is where the mystery becomes even more perplexing. Thoth does not mention death as an end in the Emerald Tablets, nor does he define the afterlife in terms of rewards and punishments. Neither of these two concepts are mentioned. As an alternative, he discusses the concept of metamorphosis, the capacity to transcend, and the possibility to completely break free from the cycle. The halls of Amenti, Ati, a place that lies beneath the surface of the earth and is where souls journey between incarnations, are some of the things that he recounts. However, he also discusses beings that are masters of the ancient ways and do not pass away. Instead, they choose when to leave their physical form and dwell in a higher state of awareness. In accordance with Thoth's teachings, these beings have acquired the ability to navigate the unseen forces of the universe and to transcend the confines of material existence. In what way does this imply? Would it be possible that Thoth was not only a deity of wisdom, but rather a guide to something much more significant, a system of knowledge that enables the soul to actively manage its journey through life, death, and beyond? There are several ideas that claim that awareness is not bound to the body and that it exists independently of the brain. Modern physics is beginning to uncover the peculiar nature of consciousness, and these theories suggest that consciousness occurs anywhere. For as long as there have been spiritual traditions, this concept has been discussed, and it has always been used to describe the capacity to transcend the physical realm and leave the body behind. If the teachings of Thoth are consistent with this belief, then what we refer to as death is not an end, but rather a transition from one state to another, which is determined by the knowledge that an individual has received. It should come as no surprise that numerous secret societies, ranging from the ancient mystery schools to the esoteric orders of today, have been enthralled with the teachings of Thoth. Those who are able to master consciousness would no longer be constrained by the constraints that are put on the physical world if it is possible for awareness to exist outside of the body. And if this information were accessible to everyone, then the power of death as an instrument of control would be diminished. It's possible that this is the reason why so much of Thoth's wisdom has been concealed, buried, delayed, and obscured by the passage of time and intentional deception, mostly due to the fact that if people genuinely realize that they are more than their bodies and that they are a part of something that is eternal, then the entire framework of fear and obedience that dominates the world would crumble. On the other hand, there is something that is even stranger. Thoth himself made reference to those individuals who do not merely travel through the afterlife, but rather return on multiple occasions to serve as mentors, educators, and keepers of important information. In the course of human history, there have been numerous spiritual personalities who have awakened humanity to higher realities. Is it possible that these individuals were connected to Thoth's lineage? Is it possible that they access the same information, the same concealed rules of consciousness and reality that he documented a very long time ago? Also, if it is the case, what does that imply for us? If Thoth was correct, then all of us are free from the shackles of fate. It is not true that we are helpless in the face of death, because we are a part of something that is far larger than ourselves, something that has been purposefully concealed, but which has never been lost in its entirety. And if we are able to retrieve this knowledge, if we are able to awaken to what has been forgotten, then we may finally comprehend what Thoth knew all along, which is that life and death are really two sides of the same illusion. However, if that deception has been utilized to maintain the ignorance of humanity, then what other facts have been obliterated from the annals of history? In what ways has the wisdom of Thoth been buried, veiled, or corrupted to a greater extent? The response might be much more stunning than we could have ever expected. If Thoth was aware of the truth about awareness, time, and life itself, then it begs the question, why has his knowledge been concealed beneath a thick layer of myth and secrecy? What are the reasons behind the fact that his teachings, which were once responsible for laying the groundwork for past civilizations, are now considered to be legends or completely ignored? As we delve deeper, it becomes increasingly clear that the knowledge that Thoth possessed was never intended to be shared with the general public. In addition to being concealed within sacred books and transmitted in hushed tones through clandestine customs, it was kept in symbols. However, who made the decision that this knowledge was to be kept hidden? And what happens when it is found again after decades of being lost? In the course of history, we have observed a trend. Constantly, great knowledge is repressed, constantly concealed from the general public, and always preserved in the possession of a small group of individuals. The mysteries of the ancient Egyptians were kept hidden in the temples, and only those who were initiated were allowed to expose them. The Greeks transformed Thoth into Hermes Trismegistus and encoded his teachings in the Hermetic books, which were only available to those who actively sought them out. Alchemists and mystics protected his wisdom during the Middle Ages by encoding it in allegories and concealing the truth in symbols. This was done so that only those who were prepared could comprehend it. Furthermore, even in the present day, remnants of Thoth's knowledge continue to be concealed in plain sight, intertwined with esoteric traditions, quantum physics, and contemporary philosophy. But why is that? In the event that this information is intended to enlighten people, then why has it been actively suppressed, watered down, or taken as a joke? Uncomplicated is the response. True wisdom poses a threat to those who are looking to exert power. The mechanisms that control the universe would fall apart if people realize that they are not powerless, that they are the builders of their own reality, and that consciousness is the driving force behind life itself. Many different types of organizations, including religious institutions, political systems, and financial empires, are predicated on the notion that power is external and that authority is located outside of the individual. It is an illusion that is destroyed by Thoth's teachings. In doing so, they demonstrate that power is innate, that enlightenment is not bestowed but rather earned, and that God is not apart from us, that we are. We have it within us. It is important to take into consideration the Emerald Tablets, which are a text that not only outlines the laws of the cosmos, but also the secrets to escaping the physical world. In the event that these tablets were nothing more than ancient folklore, then why do secret societies, occultists, and elite groups continue to make reference to them? Why have people throughout history, including philosophers, alchemists, and intellectuals, devoted their lives to decoding their messages? Is it possible that the fragments that we have now are only bits of something much greater? Something that has been purposefully obscured over the course of time? There are other tales that assert that particular passages from the tablets have been purposefully withheld and concealed from the general population. Some people believe that the genuine knowledge of Thoth has been kept within the confines of elite circles, and that it has only been transmitted to those who are judged deserving of it. And then there is the chance that the complete knowledge of Thoth never vanished, but rather was weaponized and used by those in power to change the world according to their own goals, while keeping the rest of humanity blind to its potential. This is the most troubling option of all the possibilities. In the event that this is the case, then the most significant secret of all is not simply the existence of Thoth's wisdom. Rather, it is the fact that it has been utilized against us, serving not as a means of release, but rather as a means of control. Nevertheless, here is the reality that they do not want you to be aware of. It is impossible to eradicate Thoth's wisdom. It has endured for thousands of years, returning again and time again in a variety of guises, and it is waiting for individuals who are prepared to see these manifestations. What exactly are you going to do with it, is the question. Are you going to disregard it as fiction, as superstition, or as something that has no bearing on your life? Or will you start to look more closely, to question everything that you have been told, and to look for the hidden wisdom that has been purposefully withheld from you? Due to the fact that once you embark on this course of action, there is no way to go back. When the illusion starts to fall apart, what is left behind is something that is significantly more powerful than you could have ever anticipated. Teachings of Thoth were never solely concerned with acquiring knowledge. The metamorphosis, the liberation from the illusions that bound us, and the reclaiming of the divine power that has always been within us were the themes that were discussed. However, knowledge on its own is not sufficient. Waking up is just the beginning of the process. This is the actual question. How do you intend to put this information to use? If you were to apply it to your own life, how would you? The question is, what will occur when an increasing number of people start to remember things that were previously forgotten? Given that the period of forgetting has come to an end, now that the age of awakening has begun, the wisdom of Thoth, which had been concealed for such a long time, is at last being remembered. In spite of everything, the voyage is not yet over, because now that we have found out what was lost, we need to ask ourselves, how can we make use of this information to properly awaken? Of even more significance is the question of how we can break free from the forces that have kept it hidden for such a long time. What comes next is that step. That is the point at which genuine transformation starts. The mere possession of knowledge is insufficient. In this universe, you have the ability to discover the concealed truths, decipher the ancient wisdom, and see beyond the illusions that this world presents. Nevertheless, if you do not put it into practice, and if you do not permit it to alter the way you think, perceive, and behave, then it will remain nothing more than knowledge. It will be strong, but it will be impotent in your hands. The teachings of Thoth were not preserved for the purpose of passive observation of it. It is a blueprint that he left behind for people who are eager to awaken, and for those who are prepared to go beyond the constraints that have been placed upon them. Are you really prepared to put it to use? That is the question. The teachings of Thoth were never about only intellectual pursuits. Understanding the nature of reality on a level that is so profound that it alters everything was the focus of these discussions. The idea of as above, so below, as within, so without, is more than simply poetic knowledge, as he described the mind as the architect of life, the shaper of worlds, and the force that bends reality itself. He mentioned that the mind is the power that bends reality itself. It is a straightforward explanation of the way in which the universe operates. What takes place on the inside of you is mirrored in the environment that surrounds you. The entire reality that you experience is shaped by the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that you have. Due to this reason, consciousness is the most precious and the most regulated force that exists in the universe. When it is possible for the system to confine you mentally, there is no need for it to physically confine you. In the event that it has the ability to dictate what you consider to be true, then it has already molded the world in which you live. When it comes to this particular point, the wisdom of Thoth becomes more than just historical intrigue. In order to break free from the unseen chains that have been placed upon your mind from the moment you were born, it is a tool, a key to undoing the indoctrination. His understanding demonstrates that you are not merely a bystander to this reality. Rather, you are an active participant. Indeed, you are a creator. It is the vibrational patterns that are set by your own consciousness that are responsible for the limitations that you see, the challenges that you face, and the very essence of your physical existence. Once you have this understanding, you may start making changes to it. It is possible to start rewriting the reality that you are experiencing. However, awakening is not a simple process. Unlearning is necessary for it. The false narratives, the conditioned responses, and the deeply ingrained ideas that have created how you see yourself and the world need to be dismantled in order to do this. Not only does it need you to put into question what you have been taught, but it also requires you to analyze the reasons behind your acceptance of that teaching. The teachings of Thoth serve as a guidance for individuals who are seeking the truth via this procedure. On the other hand, there is a basic barrier that stops the majority of people from ever taking the initial step. Scared. Fear is the most effective method of regulation that has ever been developed. The process that causes people to remain static and to oppose change, even when they feel the truth calling to them, is the mechanism that causes people to resist change. The dread of being rejected, the fear of failing, and the fear of going beyond the boundaries of what is considered acceptable by society are all examples of fears. However, the intelligence of Thoth is able to see through this illusion. He was aware that fear is not a destructive power that should be avoided but rather comprehended. In other words, it is a signal, a threshold that separates what is known from what is possible. Those who are able to understand this, as well as those who are able to control their behaviors without allowing fear to dictate them, are the ones who genuinely awaken. Because of this, the teachings of Thoth were kept secret. This is not because they were intended to be concealed from you, but rather because the world was constructed in such a way as to conceal you from them. It is necessary to have a change in perception, the ability to see beyond the immediate, and the ability to see beyond the surface level of what is offered to you in order to gain access to this knowledge. This is the reason why individuals who seek the truth are mocked, why those who oppose the system are regarded as delusional, and why those who speak of more profound realities are met with hostility. Because the illusion loses its strength the instant you start to become aware of your surroundings. In spite of this, knowledge is not sufficient to interrupt the cycle. Control can be dismantled by the use of action. The transformation of wisdom into experience is accomplished through practice. Being aware of the fact that your consciousness is the source of reality is one thing. Living one's life as if it were the case is another thing entirely. In what ways do you allow yourself to think? In what ways do you reinforce your beliefs? In what ways do you limit yourself without questioning your own self-imposed constraints? The real prisons are what you see here. They were the ones that Thoth hoped would assist humanity in escaping. However, the question that remains is, how do you put this information to use? What are some ways that these old truths might be adopted and utilized in the contemporary world? If something has been repressed for such a long time, how can it be reclaimed? This brings us to the following stage, which is the last piece of the puzzle. Because awakening is just the first step in the process. Doing something with it is the true test and the genuine obstacle that you face. And if you are prepared, then it is time to move forward with the procedure. Now is the time to win your freedom. Waking up is just the beginning of the process. Information that is not put into practice is nothing more than words, concepts that are not given shape, and potential that is not realized. The knowledge of Thoth was never intended to be merely observed in a passive manner. Its purpose was to be put into practice, to be lived, and to be incorporated into each and every instant of existence. It was not enough for him to simply teach that consciousness was the maker of reality. The means to exercise that understanding were made available by him, to go beyond the boundaries of limit, to get the genuine power that lies dormant within. The actual question, however, is whether or not you intend to make use of it. As an alternative, are you going to revert back to the cozy illusion that was constructed in order to confine you? Altering your perspective on the world around you is the initial stage in putting Thoth's teachings into practice. This belief that the external world is unchanging has been ingrained in you through conditioning. It is something that is external to you that you see, touch, and experience these things. Irrespective of your mental state, the delusion is what keeps you confined in this situation, giving you the impression that you are subject to forces that are beyond your ability to control. On the other hand, Thoth educated his followers that reality does not exist apart from the observer. It flowed easily. The frequency, intention, and consciousness all contribute to shaping. As soon as you comprehend this, everything will be different. The boundaries that you had previously believed to be real start to recede. It is the concept of fate, of suffering that is predetermined, and of a life that is determined by external circumstances. It all comes to a conclusion. Mastery of mind is the second step in the process. That thought is not a passive process was disclosed by Thoth. In other words, it is the creator of existence. Every concept that you have, each and every belief that you uphold, every expectation that you have of the actual situation, a vibratory imprint that shapes the world around you and the people in it. The ability that you possess has already been put to use, without being aware of it. You are guided by programming that is designed to keep you within certain parameters. There is every system in place. An education. It is a religion. The media. You have been conditioned to think in ways that lead to the reinforcement of restrictions. However, the minute you regain control of your mind, the instant that you make a deliberate decision about what you believe, things to anticipate, and how to make it happen, you assume the role of the creator in this situation, and not the one that was produced. Putting an end to the vicious cycle of fear is the third stage. Control is maintained by the use of fear as a psychological mechanism. This is the dread of failing, of being rejected, in the sense of going beyond what is considered to be acceptable, maintains people's submission to a system that does not serve their best interests. The reality that fear is an illusion was not lost on Thoth, a distorted perception that is developed with the intention of limiting human potential. Whenever you finally overcome your fear of the unknown, at the moment when you accept uncertainty as a means of gaining access to expansion, you deconstruct the most powerful system of control that has ever been developed. Those that choose to travel down this route, which refuse to allow fear to control them, individuals who are able to liberate themselves from the illusions that bind the rest of humanity together. Thoth's wisdom was never intended to be given to a select few. Those who are prepared were what it was intended for. Nevertheless, preparation is not solely dependent on knowledge. Action is the focus here. In other words, it is about going beyond theory. A person who embodies truth. The keys have been handed over to you. You now have the option to choose. Are you going to carry on living the way you have been? Illusions and constraints combine to form the shape. Are you going to go to the next step? Start putting these principles into practice. and modify the very nature of reality. The reason for this is that Thoth did not only record knowledge, his actions paved the way. Additionally, people who adhere to it will never again perceive the world in the same manner. Nevertheless, there is one more question that needs to be answered. If all of this is accurate, then, assuming that mind has the ability to modify reality itself, in that case, what does that imply for the years to come? Also, what part will you play in the process of shaping it? After you have gained an understanding of the truth, everything will alter. Once you are finally able to see through the illusion. Upon coming to the realization that reality is not something that is fixed, but there is something fluid, anything that is responsive, something that is formed according to your very consciousness, you are unable to return to the previous state of affairs. Over time, you start to recognize the patterns, the structures that are intended to prevent you from seeing, those unseen powers that have been responsible for dictating your beliefs, the fears that you have. It is your constraints. After that, for the very first attempt, it has been brought to your attention that you were never in fact bound by any of it. There was never a lock on the door. It was simply your belief that it was. The wisdom of Thoth was not limited to one's understanding alone. The topic at hand was metamorphosis. In order to preserve the record of history, he did not leave behind any words. It was a blueprint that he left behind, one that unlocks the mysteries of the workings of existence. Individuals who have made the discovery. Who has conducted research on the Emerald Tablets? There are Hermetic principles, and the more profound riddles that have been weaved throughout the course of time. Be conscious of the fact that waking is not a moment, it is a set of steps. This process does not come to a stop when consciousness is reached. To begin, it is there. For the reason that once you understand the nature of reality, there is a decision that you must make. Will you rise to meet the power that resides within you? Or will you look away as if it were never yours to claim? You hold something rare, knowledge. But knowledge alone does not shape the world. Action does. For centuries, humanity has been caught in a spiral of remembering, then forgetting. Precious truths have surfaced, only to be buried once more beneath the sands of time. Powerful teachings have stirred the hearts of seekers, igniting awareness that flickers like fire in the dark. But when ignored, these truths fade. They become diluted, distorted, or simply lost to history. But what happens when enough souls begin to remember? What happens when the veil thins and truth can no longer be hidden? When illusion crumbles under the weight of what is. No one can say for certain where this path leads. Consciousness is not a fixed destination. It is being forged moment by moment by those brave enough to awaken, for those who choose to remember. This world you walk through, it reflects the collective psyche of us all. The systems of control, they persist because enough people believe in them. The rules of society, they endure because they are accepted, even by those who suffer under them. Just as the past was shaped by those who held hidden knowledge, the future will belong to those who reclaim it. This was Thoth's understanding, that the mind is not merely a mirror of reality, it is the architect behind it. Everything begins with thought, and those who master their own awareness gain the keys to something far greater, mastery of the world itself. Yet even now, this journey is far from over. In truth, it may only just be beginning. Much remains hidden, much has yet to be uncovered. But if you've felt a pull toward deeper truths, if you've walked this path in silence, sensing that there's more beneath the surface, know this: you are not alone. Some truths are too powerful to speak of openly, yet for those who seek them, the doors are always there, waiting. But the path forward demands more than curiosity. It asks for courage, commitment, a willingness to question what the world has told you is possible. Thoth's wisdom speaks of truths that can't be fully explored in a single video. But for those ready to dive deeper, those who feel called to something ancient and enduring, the next step is clear. If you're ready to go beyond surface knowledge, if you're ready to uncover what has been intentionally concealed, then take that step. Join us at Insights Academy through the link in the description. As a gift, you'll receive a complimentary copy of the Kybalion, a timeless text that has illuminated the minds of seekers for generations. The doorway is open. The invitation is here. But only you can answer it, because knowledge, when claimed, becomes power, and knowledge, when used, becomes freedom. So now I ask you, will you choose to remember? If this message resonates with something deep within you, let us know in the comments. That made sense to me.